Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be discussing about our first unit. Our first unit called it as an economic growth and economic development. So in that we are going to be discussing the topic called it as an distinction between the economic growth and the economic development. Distinction between the economic growth and economic development. Regarding the topic we are going to be learning here. So economic growth and economic development. Economic development. So regarding the first unit called it as an economic growth and economic development. So in that we are going to be learning the topic called it as an distinction between the economic growth and economic development. So today learn about the topic called it as an economic growth and distinction between the economic growth and economic development. So already in the previous sessions we have been discussed about what is actually the economic growth, what is actually the economic development we have been discussed here. So let us know the what are the differences are there between, what are the different number of differences are there between the economic growth and the economic development we are going to be learning here. So what are the differences are there between the economic growth and the economic development we are going to be discussing here. So let us know what are those particular differences, distinction or the differentiation. Distinction or the differentiation, both are the meaning same here. So now let us learn about the what are the differences or the distinctions are there between the economic growth and the economic development here. Economic growth and the economic development we are going to be learning here. So here there are the distinction between the economic growth and economic development are means based on the following transactions, based on the following reasons we can say there is a differentiation is there between the economic growth and the economic development here. So let us know, first we are going to be learning about the economic growth, then afterwards we are going to be learning about the economic development. Economic growth, economic development. So we are going to be learning about the two topics, the differences between the two topics called it as and what here. One is of economic growth and the other one is called it as an economic development. One is called it as an economic growth and the another one is called it as an what here, economic development here. So what is the first and foremost differentiation? What is the first and foremost differentiation between the economic growth and the economic development we are going to be learning here. So the first and foremost difference between the economic growth and economic development is, so economic growth refers to the increase in the, so here economic growth refers to an increase in the country's real output of goods and services. Means what here, that the gross domestic product, gross domestic product in shortly we can call here. So what we are calling here, so economic growth refers to the, economic growth is going to be refers to the increase in a, economic growth is going to be refers to an increase in a country's real output, countries real output of goods and services. So real output of goods and services means what here, the gross domestic product of a country. The gross domestic product of a country is taken into consideration as economic growth here. An increase in the output level. Output level in what here, the total number of goods and services in a particular year of a particular country has been increased, so there is a possibility of economic growth is going to be arising here. So there is a possibility of economic growth is going to be arising. So that is the regarding the economic growth here. So then what about actually the economic development here? So economic development refers to not only the economic growth. The economic development is going to be referring not only the economic growth, but also about the progressive changes, but also about the progressive changes in the socio-economic structure of the country. Socio-economic structure of the country is called it as an what here? Economic development. Is called it as an what here? Actually the economic development. So economic development is what we are going to call it. It refers to the not only the economic growth, not only the economic growth, but also there is a but also that the main about the progressive changes in the socio-economic structure of the country. Socio-economic structure of the country is called it as an what here? Economic development. Not only with the economic growth, so there is a change should be arise under the socio-economic changes. Socio-economic changes of the structure of the countries must be also changed here. So then only the economic development is going to be possible from here. Then only the economic development is going to be possible. So this is the first and foremost difference between the economic growth and the economic development here. So then what is the second one here? What is the second differentiation is there between the economic growth and the economic development? So the second difference is economic growth is a single dimension phenomenon. Economic growth is a single dimension phenomenon. Economic growth is a single dimension phenomenon. It is a single dimension phenomenon. Economic growth is a one of the single dimension phenomenon. Economic growth is a one of the single dimension phenomenon. But here economic development is what here? Multi-dimensional phenomenon. Economic development is what here? It is one of the multi-dimensional phenomenon. It is a single dimensional phenomenon. Economic growth is a single dimensional phenomenon, as the economic development is a multi-dimensional phenomenon. Why we are going to be calling it as a single dimensional and multi-dimensional? Single dimensional means what here? Only there is an increase in the output levels. Only there is an increase in the output levels. Only there is an increase in the output levels of the goods and services has been increased within one year of a one particular country is called it as an that the changes will be. That is called it as an what here? Single dimension. Gross domestic product has been got it changed. So the economic growth is going to be possible here. So gross domestic product has been got it changed. So that the economic growth is going to be possible here. So then what about the economic development here? It is a multi-dimensional we are calling. So multi-dimensional includes of what here? So it is not only going to be including of the growth, means the growth level of the output, including the goods and services should be increased with that. So there is a socio-economical changes like social, cultural, economical, political way. So there must be a changes will be needed of all these particular space here. So then only the development is going to be possible here. So that's what we are calling. So that is called it as an economic development. So that's what we are calling economic. That the economic development is a multi-dimensional phenomenon. Economic development is a multi-dimensional phenomenon we are going to be calling here. So that the what is actually the third differentiation? So economic growth explains the primarily about the quantitative changes in the economy. Economic growth explains the primarily the quantitative changes in the economy. It explains the primarily it explains the primarily about the quantitative changes. Primarily about the quantitative changes. Quantitative changes. It explains the primarily that the quantitative changes. It explains the primarily that the quantitative changes in the economy. Quantitative changes in the economy means what here? The output levels. Quantity means how much more quantity has been increased when compared to the last year to this year. When we are going to be comparing from the last year to present year, so how much is the means that the previous years to the present years when we are going to be calculating, so how much is the increase has been arise, whether it has been increased or decreased. So there is an increase will be showing, it is a the growth has been possible here, the growth has been increased, economic growth has been possible here. So that's what it explains the primarily about the quantitative changes in the economy. Primarily about the quantitative changes in the economy it is going to be explaining here. So then the economic development. So what will be happening under the economic development? Economic development explains the quantitative as well as the qualitative changes in the economy. It explains the quantitative as well as qualitative changes. So here that the economic development what it is going to be explaining us, it is going to be explaining us that the quantitative as well as the qualitative changes. Quantitative as well as the qualitative changes in the economy. Quantity means what here? The level of output. The changes will be showing in the level of output. With that, including the quality education, quality health. So like that, it is going to be showing the changes under the economic development here. So the next differentiation is what here? Economic growth occurs either through active role of the government or not here. Whether that the economic growth is going to be occur means economic growth is going to be arising. So either through the active role of the government or not. If the active role will be playing by the government or if it is not going to be playing by the government also, so the economic growth is going to be occurring. The economic growth is going to be occurring means it is going to be possible because if we have been bought the change in the level of output, if we might have been bought the change under the level of output, so automatically the growth is going to be possible here, whether the government intervention is there or not. So here the economic growth is going to be possible here. While when we are going to be taking the other case of the economic development, well, the other case of the economic development, what will be arising here? So in the initial stage of the development, in the initial stages of the development, government intervention. In the initial stage of the development, that the government intervention is desirable in view. That the government intervention is going to be desirable in view of that the low level of output in the country. That the low level of output in the country, and hence an active role is important for the development. Hence it is an active role for the development is going to be the important one here. So what we are going to be doing for the initial stages for the development. At the initial means what here? The basic stages of the development is going to be needed the government intervention is desirable means compulsory we are going to be needed the government intervention in the first stages. So in view of the low level of output of the country, and hence an active role will be important in the development here. So when the low level of output is there, so the government intervention is lower will be required. So when the case of the development is going to be required, so compulsory the government intervention is going to be required here. So that is the difference between the economic growth and the economic development here. And the next difference, so that the faster economic growth occurs when more technological progress is going to be occur here. So faster economic growth is going to be occurring, faster economic growth is going to be possible. When it is going to be possible here? So when there is a possibility of there is an increase in the level of output. When there is an increase in the level of output, when it is going to be possible? So the technological progress has been increased, that the technological progress has been increased, so that level what will be happen here? So once the advanced technology we are going to be using, more is the production levels will increase. Production increased, automatically the output levels of the goods and services will be also increased here. So that's what the economic growth is going to be possible one here. So that's what that the economic growth is going to be possible here. So here that the under the economic development what will be arising here? A higher level of economic development, A higher level of economic development entails the improvement in the quality life of the people here. So higher level of what it will be doing, it is going to be entailing the improvement in the quality of the life of the people. Quality of the life of the people, quality means what here? So their living standards must need to increase. Living standard must need to increase means what here? Their income levels should be increased. Income levels should be increased means what here? They must need to be getting the educated here, isn't it or not? So employment opportunities should be created, so the poverty will be eliminated. So these all the concepts will be included under what? The economic development here. These all the concepts will be included under what here? Under the economic development. Under the economic development. So that what we are going to be calling, so that is going to, there is a possibility of economic development is going to be arising here. There is a possibility of economic development is going to be arising here. And another differentiation. There is another differentiation between the economic growth and development is economic growth is the key issue under the traditional economics. So economic growth is a key issue. Economic growth is one of the key issue under the traditional economics. According to this approach, traditional economics, it is one of the key issue. Key issue will be being by the economic growth. So that is according to the traditional approach. According to the traditional approach, so take care of growth and poverty would be eliminated automatically. Take care of growth and poverty would be eliminated automatically. If we are going to be taking care of the growth, means we are going to be taking more number of measures for increasing of the output levels, by increasing of the more number of producing by the more number of goods and services. So what they will be saying, automatically the poverty is going to be eliminated. Automatically that the poverty is going to be eliminated, they are going to be saying here. Eliminated, they are going to be saying. Means what will be happen here? So that is called it as a what here? According to the trickle down approach, take care of growth and the poverty would be eliminated automatically. Automatically the poverty will be eliminated. So this is called it as a what here? Trickle down approach. That is called it as a what here? Trickle down approach under the economic growth. So then what is about the economic development here? So economic development is the main issue under the modern economics. Economic growth is the economic development is the main issue under the modern economics. Economic development is the main issue under the modern economics. That is regarding the economic growth is traditional economics. So this is of modern economics. So accordingly that the take care of poverty and growth would be take care of itself. So under this what according to the modern approach, what they are going to be specifying by the economists, take care of the poverty, take care of the poverty, and growth would be take care itself. Growth would be taken care itself. If we are going to be taking care of the poverty, means we are going to be taking the more number of measures to eliminate the poverty, what will be happen? Automatically growth is going to be increasing, they are going to be saying here. So that is the another differentiation between the economic growth and the economic development here. And the next one, the scope of the economic growth is narrow because it is concerned with the changes in per capita income level only. Changes in the per capita income. Per capita income means what here? So how we are going to be, per capita income is also called it as an average income of an individual, isn't it or not? Per capita income is also called, per capita income is also called it as an what here? Average income of an individual is called it as an per capita income. Average income of an individual is called it as a what here? Per capita income. So that what will be happening here? So the average income of an individuals are called it as an per capita income. So that here the scope of economic growth is what here? It is a narrow one. Narrow means what here? Smaller concept than the economic development here. So because why it is going to be? It is going to be concerned with the changes in the per capita income level only. Means the individual income has been got it increased, automatically growth is going to be, economic growth is going to be possible, they are going to be saying here. So why? There is a more number of the products they are going to be, income level increased, so their living standard will increase, more number of the goods and services they are purchasing, for that more production will be increased here. So that's what economic growth is going to be possible due to of the changes in the per capita income of an individuals here. But the scope of economic development is wider than the wider and comprehensive than the economic growth. So the economic growth, economic development concept is what here? Economic development concept is a wider and comprehensive than the economic growth here. Means when compared to economic growth, the economic development is a very large concept here, very large concept. So it links is not only with an increase in it links with not only an increase in the income but also with the well-being of the economy. It increase will not be increase with the economic growth, but also it is going to be linking with the well-being of the economy. Well-being means what here? That is nothing but the wealth of the economy will be also included here. Wealth of the economy is also going to be included. So here then the next differentiation is under the economic growth and development is economic growth is considered as a short term process. Economic growth can be considered as a one of the short term, means a very short period we can increase the economic growth level here. We can increase the economic growth level, means the output level can be increased with the short period of time here. So the output level can be increased with the short period of time. So that's what we are calling economic growth is going to be considered as a short term process, whereas where we can measure the income changes on a and yearly basis. The income changes we can compare by the yearly basis. From the last year how the income levels, from the present year how the income levels, we can make it the comparison between the previous years to the present years here and here. So it's a time span maybe of 1 year. So that the economic growth means the economic growth is a short term period will be taken of what year? 1 year period. అంటే ఒక సంవత్సర కాలాన్ని మాత్రమే మనం కన్సిడరేషన్లోకి తీసుకోవడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. ఒక సంవత్సర కాలాన్ని మాత్రమే మనము అక్కడ కన్సిడరేషన్లోకి తీసుకోవడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. అర్థమైందా అక్కడ? సో ద ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ ఈస్ కన్సిడర్డ్ యాజ్, దట్స్ వాట్ ద ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి కన్సిడర్డ్ యాజ్ ఏ షార్ట్ టర్మ్ ప్రాసెస్ వేర్ వీ కెన్ మెజర్ the income changes on an yearly basis. So the time span may be of only 1 year here. But what about the economic development? Under the economic development, it is a long-term process. Economic development is one of the long-term process. Long-term, చాలా ఎక్కువ రోజులు డెవలప్మెంట్ కావాలంటే ఏంటి? చాలా ఎక్కువ సమయం అనేది పడుతుంది. అంటే ఎక్కువ రోజులు కాదు, ఎక్కువ సంవత్సరాలు అని ఉద్దేశం. రోజులు అని అంటే అది షార్ట్ టర్మ్ కిందకి తీసుకోవాలి. సంవత్సరాలు అని అంటే లాంగ్ టర్మ్, ఎక్కువ సంవత్సరాలు. So here that the economic development is a long-term process. Economic development is one of the long-term process that spans about the 20 to 25 years. So that the lifespan of the particular economic development include of long-term process we are saying. Long-term means how many years we have to take? It may be taking 20 to 25 years of time it is going to be taking for the development of the economy here. So it takes more years. It takes more years to change social, economic and the institutional setup here. So it is going to be means it takes the more years. Why it is going to be taking 20 to 25 years of time here? Means here it is going to be taking the more years to change. Economic development is going to be taking the more years to change that as a social, economical and the institutional setup should be changed. Then only the development is going to be possible here. Then only that the development is going to be possible. That's what it is called it as a long-term process. Economic development is called it as a what here? Long-term process. Economic growth is called it as a short-term process here. That is the another differentiation. And next differentiation is economic growth is more relevant concept in the case of developed countries. So what will be happening here? Economic growth is more relevant. Economic growth is one of the more relevant concept in the case of developed countries. Already developed countries, so that is a more relevant concept is called it as an economic growth. Economic growth is a more important one. So every year they want to increase the growth level here. So that is for the already developed countries, it is one of the more important concept. As economic development is the main issue of the developing countries. Economic development is the main issue for the developing countries like our India, the other countries which are there for the developing countries. So that is a main issue for the economic development here. So here that the another differentiation. And the next differentiation is called it as an there may or may not be any social change in the case of economic growth. There may or means there may or may not may not be any social changes in the case of any means any changes in the maybe any changes in the social changes in the case of economic growth, social changes, it may arise, it may not be arise in the social change while in the economic growth here, but it is only concerned with the change in the income level. So only the economic growth is going to be concerned with what here, change in the income level, without giving the consideration to social change here, without giving the consideration for the social change. There is an only increase for the income levels, it is going to be giving the priority. Social change means what here, the living standard of the people, they are not going to be giving any priority, but there is an only income level should be changed here. So that is the priority will be giving under the economic growth here. So while under the economic development, while under the economic development, social changes in case of the economic development are compulsory. So there must be a compulsory for the social changes in the economic development. Economic development లో కంపల్సరీగా సోషల్ చేంజెస్ అనేవి అవసరం. లివింగ్ స్టాండర్డ్ చేంజ్ అవ్వాలి, ఇన్కమ్ లెవెల్స్ చేంజ్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా కంపల్సరీగా చేంజ్ అవ్వాలి అనమాట. సో ఆర్ కంపల్సరీ. ఇట్ రెఫర్స్ టు ద బెటర్ జాబ్స్. It refers, please, social changes include of what here, better jobs, availability of food, better availability of the food, better health, better education, and the sustained increase in the living standards, sustained increase in the living standards of an individuals, where that the environmental issues are also given due consideration. Environmental means what here, so there is an there is no degradation of the environment here. So here what, with protection of the environment, we must need to increase of the changes, we must need to bring the changes in the living standard of the people, income level of the people, and that the better availability of the food, health, education, all these we must need to give the priority. All these development will be also including called as and what here, that the economic development is going to be possible here. And the next one, economic growth does not indicate the distribution of income. Economic growth does not indicate the distribution of income and wealth in the economy. Economic growth, it does not indicating, it is not going to be specifying of what here, the distribution of income and wealth in the economy, income and wealth in the economy. But as in the case of economic development, as in the case of economic development, what will be arising here, so the economic development indicates the economic development is going to be indicating the distribution of income and wealth in the economy. Distribution of income and wealth in our economy is called it as, and that is the another differentiation here, and means that the distribution of wealth, income and wealth should be distributed in the whole economy, then only the development is going to be possible, they are going to be specifying here. So that is the another differentiation between the economic growth and the economic development. And the last but not the least difference between the economic growth and economic development is that the economic growth is measured only by comparing the income levels of different years. Economic growth is going to be compared by only, economic growth is going to be measured only by the comparing the income levels of the different years, comparing the income levels of the different years. అంటే ఏంటి, ఒక ఇయర్లో వచ్చిన ఇన్కమ్తో ఇంకో ఇయర్లో వచ్చిన ఇన్కమ్తో కంపేర్ చేయడం అన్నమాట. అంటే మనకి అంతకుముందు సంవత్సరంలో ఎంత ఇన్కమ్ వచ్చింది, ఈ సంవత్సరంలో ఎంత ఇన్కమ్ వచ్చింది అనే దాని కంపారిజన్. అంటే ఏ సంవత్సరంకైనా ఏ సంవత్సరంలో కంపేర్ చేయవచ్చు, దాంతో మనకి అక్కడ ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ అనేది కంపేర్ చేయడానికి మాత్రమే యూజ్ అవుతుంది. సో హియర్ దట్ ద ఇట్ ఈస్ డిఫరెంట్ ఇయర్స్, డిఫరెంట్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ఇయర్స్ వీ కెన్ మేక్ ద కంపారిజన్ ఆఫ్ ద increase of the income level, that is called it as a what here, economic growth here. So it is usually measured by comparing the rate of economic growth for every year. So usually what purpose we are going to be using economic growth, usually we are going to be using for that particular economic growth for comparing the rate of growth, rate of economic growth of growth for every year, rate of economic growth for the every year we are going to be using of the economic growth for comparison of this particular concept here. అంటే ఏ ఇయర్లో ఎంత ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ ఉందని కంపేర్ చేయడానికి మనం ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ని అక్కడ యూజ్ చేయడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. వాళ్ళ ద అదర్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎకనామిక్ డెవలప్మెంట్, సో హియర్ మెజర్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఎకనామిక్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఈస్ బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద మెజర్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఎకనామిక్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద కంప్యూటేషన్ ఆఫ్ composite indices, that the computation of composite indices where reduction in poverty, development of human beings, development of human beings and living standards play an important role here, that the living standard of the people, reduction in the poverty means poverty elimination, development of human beings in the sense what here, the human resources must be to increase here. So how the human resources is going to be increased while the health and education has been increased, human resources are going to be increased here. So that means the development of the human beings has been, living standard should be increased. So that what will be happen automatically, that the development is going to be possible here. So once it has been, the standard of the living has been increased, this topics has been given an importance, so then the automatically there is an importance will be given for the economic development. So these are the different number of differences between the economic growth and the economic development. Okay, today we are going to close in the topic with this.